Thanks for joining us today. Roll for Mischief is back for more awesome stuff. Hold on a second. Drew, we're getting more echo from your side of it. It's all good. Just be up on that mute button, my dude. It's not a regular Roll for Mischief stream unless we're dealing with some kind of technical issue that we gotta kind of iron out in some way. So as always, thanks for your patience as we figure out technology type stuff. Where was I? Oh yes, the name of the game is Voloheen, Winds of War. The name of this episode, episode 14 now, is called Eight of Swords. And when we last left our characters, there was a somewhat triumphant, dramatic moment as Eigner and Alan returned from their little mission to Twin Harbor, where they went and plundered the rest of the private stock, more like rescued, retrieved the private stock of liquor that Alan had at his pub called the Cornerstone. Also, along the way, they happened to find some friends, several druids from this group that we've called the Undercircle. They're a group of druids that have lived for years and years in the sewers underneath Twin Harbor and had quite a rough go of it. But our characters have had an interesting history with them, an interesting history with this character Leovan, who is their de facto leader, even though he wouldn't tell you that. He wouldn't say that at all, but the other druids seem to look to him for leadership. And a new character has come out of nowhere, another old elf to rival Leovin's oldness. But this is a woman, an elven woman.
She's also
And
another blind character to rival Eigner's blindness.
wait, wait, really though?
Oh
No.
yeah, you forgot that.
I
Yeah,
I had
as
not planned on that.
oh man, as part of the arc of her, or not the arc, but the archetype that she falls into, she's the blind seer.
Does she have to be blind?
That
It's huh?
right where she sees people with magic.
I mean, it's fine if she's not.
Wow.
It's something that had worked its way into my story a long time ago.
For sure.
Well, maybe she was blind when in that background story.
It's not so incredibly important that it can't be retconned,
Okay.
or rather, not even retconned, but not retconned.
Well, you know what? We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Is what I like to say. So Leah knows this character as Senna, a very significant character in Leah's backstory that has now stepped into the story somewhat unexpectedly. So, as we resume, Eigner and company have reached the top of the hill. Eigner has just got a wide smile on his face. He looks very proud of himself to have accomplished something, and he's carrying a very large bottle of rum in his hand. And he, in a loud, boisterous voice, starts telling you all about what it was like and gives you the update on the whole journey. And I'm going to just kind of abstract it and say that they started by going to the Cornerstone and finding that it's just pretty much almost entirely collapsed by this point. There was the damage that it sustained when all of our characters were actually there, with the fake Alan, who turned out to be Aygrien in disguise. You remember that one? I remember that one.
Oh, I remember.
I remember that one for sure. The building had sustained some damage when this giant warforged had punched through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, and things have only seemed to have gotten worse from there for the Cornerstone. It even looks like at one point the building had been set on fire, and then the flames doused, and then several other sections knocked down. But fortunately, the hidden room where Alan kept his most precious liquors was untouched, and the liquor was saved. Also, some provisions from the pantry also made it into Eigner's bag of holding. And believe it or not, he also brought some furniture. He managed to fit some furniture into the bag of holding. So he's got some random chairs and other random stuff, bar stools that had been in good enough shape to be able to salvage. So that was a roaring success. And then on the way out, to avoid this huge street brawl that had erupted outside, they decided to go this other way, sneak down into the sewers, and try and get out of the city that way. And who do they run into but all the druids? Leovan, this new person, Senna, ran into them. And Eigner recounts that whole bit of it in this kind of offhand manner. Uh, but you, but there's maybe some characters where this will like trigger a memory. Eigner says something about how they were just down there playing in the dirt. Seems like they're trying to make a garden or something. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, how are you going to make a garden if there's no sunshine? But that's what I tried to tell them. But they just didn't listen to me at all. And for any characters that were actually around at this point, but there was another point, I can't remember which episode it was, when all the characters were trudging through the sewers with Leovan, and Leovan brought you through this area where all the stone had been ripped up from the ground, and it was just a huge plot of earth. And he waved his hands around, and he was like tilling the earth. So any characters who were there for that moment, when Eigner says those things, it might jog your memory to that time.
I wasn't there, but that was episode 10, wasn't it?
I believe so. It was. I think it was.
On the way out the city to save Eigner from himself.
Actually, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. It was the last
I
time I was DMing.
I have no memory of any of these events.
Maybe Hillowfax is the only one.
Hillowfax and Ellie would.
Oh, Hillowfax and Ellie.
I have found two
Ellie was with
caterpillars.
them by then.
For sure. So, we can. So, if anyone has any immediate reactions they want to do at that point, meeting up with Eigner and everybody, we can do that. Otherwise, I was thinking about fast forwarding to like this kind of group dinner kind of scene that night.
Yeah, the only thing I would mention is if anyone else is around Leah at the time that she catches sight of the group down there, like her entire demeanor changes, the entire whatever feelings and things are coming off of her have all switched to just like basically elation, relief, joy. Like this is a feeling akin to someone who has been reunited with her parents after years of being apart, that sort of thing. But
Alright.
I don't think she'll like run down to meet them, but that's just if anyone's near her, that's what they're getting off her.
I think
Okay.
Ellie would run down to meet them.
Okay.
I feel like Ellie's very excited that Eigner's back. He's been gone long enough. And I think that she would probably before, like once he's back, take him and like show him what Finnegan made in his back garden. Obviously he can't see, but she'll go in and very excitedly just be like, all in one sentence almost. Be like, when you were gone, Finnegan showed up and he gave me this box, and I don't know what it does. And maybe you could cast you dispel magic on it. I know you like to cast dispel magic on things. I mean, I have dispel magic, but maybe we could work on it together. But he showed up in your house, and I'm really sorry he drank the last few whiskey. But it's all right because you've got some. You got some back, right? But then he built this. He built a workshop outside. He built it from the ground. Look, like come, and then like drags him over to it and like puts his hands on the like whatever it's made from, and like talks about it and basically doesn't really let him get a word in.
For sure. So first of all, the workshop itself, you're noticing, and you've been inside by now, obviously, and have taken a look, and it's pretty much, your standard kind of building. It's a good size, not huge, but not super tiny. It's just like the perfect amount of size to be able to have about 10 workers in there comfortably. There's a number of benches. There's also like racks on the walls where you can like hang tools and random things and whatnot. Um, and it's made out of like wood. It's a solid structure like you would expect to find in any just regular old town or city. Like I said before, what he did is just took the material of the earth and transmuted it, just like actually changed it into a different material. But it's yeah, it's a nice little workshop for sure. And Eigner runs his hand across the walls, and he's got this look on his face like he's just acting like literally like very impressed and almost doesn't believe you. He's very skeptical of magic in his own way, and this seems to have like really impressed him. And then his look totally changes, and then he interrupts you mid sentence with whatever you're saying and says, "This is where I was growing my peppers." That that old
Eigner.
that old
Bigger
raggedy
picture.
fool. Wait, and he drank
Take a picture.
and he drank the last of my whiskey. I mean, I've got plenty of rum now, but and then he just kind of, gets all Eignery, gets all pissed off. But yeah, but he genuinely was impressed, for sure. So, any other notes about all that kind of stuff before we kind of jump forward?
Greetings, I am Rue. You are a new friend. Greetings, I am Rue. You are a new friend. Greetings, I am Rue. You are a new friend.
Rue goes through every single person and gives them the greeting, so everybody knows who Rue is now.
Yep.
So adorable, just like Rue, just like Rue.
That's so cool.
So
Just like Rue.
so we fast forward. The day's work is done. People are all moved into the workshop. They've gathered all the Warforged components there. You've got the contingent of Trail Guard around. You've got these druids here now. A large, very welcoming fire has been made just outside Eigner's front door, where he's got the fire pit and several logs cut in half that make for rather comfortable seats, even though they're just logs. And it's just a very nice, warm evening to sit and enjoy some food together. A large pot of stew has been made. There are several candles being lit. It's a very calming, relaxing, almost festive kind of atmosphere with so many people around. It's almost like you're having a party. And for the moment, everything seems chill. Everything seems relaxed. In Eigner's actual house, there's only the small group of you. I'm going to say it's going to be all of you guys with Eigner, and Alan is there. He is taken to... Alan's in his element, honestly. Like, he is cooking. He's got Rue as his assistant, helping him make enough of this stew to be able to feed every person that's in Bronzewood Grove right now. Alan is doing double duty. He's running the bar. He's making shots for everyone. He's making sure everyone's happy there. Also, you've got Emily, just kind of quiet, subdued. She's actually got her notebook, and she's taking several notes. She just hasn't stopped working and planning this whole time. And also, Leovan and Senna are there, sitting in the corner, drinking some tea, talking to each other in quiet, hushed tones. And as the evening wears on and everyone starts to eat and have some libations and get a little more relaxed, Senna comes over to Eigner and sits across the table from him and says, "My dear, you seem troubled. I would like to do something for you. Do you know of the divination cards? And she pulls out a tarot deck. And Eigner says, yeah, I've heard of it. A friend of mine likes that stuff. He paused because you can tell he almost said he liked that stuff in past tense. But he forces himself to say he likes that stuff. It's a real mental battle. And then Senna says, very well. And she takes the cards and splays them out on the table in front of them in this random, jumbled mess. Everything's still face down, but everything's just totally jumbled up on the table. And she tells Eigner, pick a card. Pick a card, my dear. We'll tell your fortune. He reaches out into the middle of the pile, shuffles around a little bit, grabs a card, and slaps it down in front of him. And I have another slide to show. And it is this card. Looks exactly like this. Senna describes it to him. Because Eigner's blind. The image is of a young woman, bound, standing in a circle of 8 swords. She is blindfolded, and she cannot move. What else does she say? Her expression softens, and she talks to Eigner as if she was talking to a small, scared child. You feel trapped, my dear. You feel as if your hands are tied. You feel powerless in regards to your own destiny. But Eigner, my dear, this is a self-made prison. At any time, you can take off the blindfold and walk past the swords. As Senna goes on this whole divination talking about the significance and the meaning of the card and trying to relate it to Eigner in some way, Eigner becomes more and more visibly agitated. He had been having a great time ever since he got back from Twin Harbor. He had had this grand success, liberated the whiskey and the rum and the whatever and all that. He's been having a great time. But as Senna talks to him about this card that's in front of him, he gets agitated and gets angry, gets pretty grumbly, and he leaves the stew in front of him. He grabs his glass of his chosen liquor, and he growls, almost shouts at Senna, "You don't know me, lady. You don't know me at all." And he stands up from the table and just walks straight out the door.
Everyone feels awkward. Just silence falls across the table.
Yeah.
Can I get up and follow him out?
Sure.
I think that's probably what Ellie would do.
Yeah.
Follow after him. Not like immediately, give him like a couple of seconds and then excuse herself and follow him outside.
Sure. You find him just outside, standing at the fire, finishing the last of his drink, and he's just got like a simple, like, hand-carved wooden cup, and he just throws the cup behind him in this dismissive gesture as it's empty, and then lets out a little burp.
Can I have brought the bottle out?
Sure. Yeah.
quietly go and sort of stand next to him. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It was just that lady in there just brought up some memories for me. Is all. Been dealing with
Well,
a lot of those lately.
well, I know it always seems to help. And she'll shake the bottle in his direction.
And he'll smirk a little bit and just say, "That's my girl." Reach out, grab the bottle, give it a little nip.
Um, we
Enabler.
could. We could just sit out here for a bit. It's a nice night.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It was getting too stuffy in there anyhow. Too many people. Why did I think this was a good idea, having all these people in my grove?
I don't know. It's unlike you.
It is, but I do think it's a good idea. I mean, from a tactical perspective, especially, there's safety in numbers.
Yeah. And I'll just go to sit, kind of just where we are, or yeah, by the fire. Yeah.
Yeah, y'all can sit on the logs, enjoy the heat from the fire. It's pleasant crackling and ambiance.
Just kind of make the odd small talk, but actually almost sit in like comfortable silence together. I think is also fine.
Mm-hmm. As you two, as the two of you spend time together out by the fire, you start to feel this calming effect that you're having on Eigner. He had gotten so agitated and so worked up, but bit by bit, as you keep talking, keep sitting, he just seems to relax more and more. Meanwhile, inside of Eigner's house, what is happening after that very awkward situation and Eigner and Ellie left? Senna just said, "Oh dear," and started to pack up her cards.
Well, Leah will say something to her, like, I'm sorry that he was rude to you. I think he has a good heart, though, if that counts for anything.
Oh, I can see his heart. I can. He is troubled, but he has a great capacity, a great potential to do good, to heal things.
He's definitely done many good things in the short time that I've known him.
I worry for him like I would worry for my grandson, but I'm afraid he's so much younger than my grandson. I never understood human lifetimes.
Rue has uncharacteristically dropped everything that he was doing and moved fairly silently towards the two talking. And now, in that quick pause, says, "And that is why I kept the card from him for so long. Why did you have to do that, Senna?"
What?
Does Leah recognize this voice?
I think
Yeah, how similar
you
is
wanna
it?
roll? You wanna roll for it? See if you can
Roll
pick
it.
up the ever doing Rue.
Insight or perception? Maybe it's better to do. I don't know. I would say either insight or perception, whichever is easier or better for you. Or
Ooh,
whatever.
mix them together, get Inception.
Inception check.
Oh, that is a beautiful roll. Well,
Perfect spin and spiral. It just It did
Yeah.
all the things a roll should do. Landed on a number.
27.
Woo! All right.
I
So
mean, I think so.
yeah, so I think you definitely hear Eridu's voice come out of Rue for one hot second.
There's
And
just this bolt of shock coming off of Leah. And she whips toward Rue and says, "What did you say?"
I did not say anything. Did you want another drink?
And then she looks at Senna and says, "Did you hear that?"
Senna didn't look quite shocked at all. She just nods her head in this very knowing kind of way to assure you, no, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. I heard it too.
Now, I don't believe that Senna and Eridu and Leah have ever been in the same room together.
No, they have not.
And
don't
Leah
think so.
may in fact not know that Senna knows Eridu now.
Yeah, because they didn't actually meet till after Leah had left.
Mm-hmm. So, but because Leah trusts Senna, she says, "That sounded like the voice of my brother."
And she nods again and says softly, yes, I would recognize Eridu's voice anywhere.
You know Eridu?
Indeed, my child. I have guided the both of you in different ways and at different times.
Oh. When? When did you know Eridu?
She responds with the appropriate timing. I don't know if it was after
It's
your
after we
time with her. After Leah. Okay, after Leah's time. It was after you left, my child. He came, we crossed paths, and I could tell that he was just as much in need of guidance as you were.
Eridu is missing. He's been missing for weeks now. I only had 5 days with him before he left.
I'm trying to think of something very sage and wise that this this person would tell you. We cannot know the grander workings of this world. We cannot know why we have so much or so little time with those around us. He is out there somewhere. And she makes this gesture in this wide arc with her arm to indicate something larger than this world.
Do you know why his voice would have come from that thing?
She chuckles, gives a little smirk, and says, I have not the faintest idea, my dear. But I'm so old that I'm not surprised by anything anymore.
Does she like gesture towards Rue?
Leah, yes.
Oh no, Senna. No, Senna
yeah,
just
no, Leah,
gestured.
Leah.
What? What? Oh.
Leah.
When I said that thing,
Oh,
his voice.
okay.
Because he's still standing there expectantly waiting for them to tell him if they want to drink. And he'll respond with, I am not programmed with voice mimicry. There is no way for Eridu's voice to have come from me.
And yet it did.
A mystery. Clearly, we should look into this more.
Perhaps I am programmed for voice modulation. We just didn't know. Ellie is the one to ask.
Certainly.
Senna, when you have a moment, I don't know why you're here. It's good to see you. It serendipity, I suppose. I I need your help. I don't know if I can do any of this on my own.
Serendipity has a way of connecting people when they need to be connected the most. I was here mostly at Leovin's request. She gestures over to the other old elf, who you can't tell if Leovin's sleeping or just like kind of closing his eyes a little bit, but he's kind of slumped in the corner with his cup of tea. Um,
Ah, his beverage appears to be mostly empty. Rue will march over towards Leovan. Excuse me, would you like a drink?
Leovin wordlessly reaches his hand out with the cup and places it gently in Rue's hand and murmurs a thank you. Senna looks at Leah and, with the most genuine compassion in her face, says, I have a moment now, dear. Tell me, how can I help you?
I need to know how to remove a curse or a compulsion or the kind of mind magic that is something that I've done or that someone else has done. I need to know how to fix it. I can't just always be uncontrolled and doing things. Do you know if there's anything or anyone that can help me with that?
Oh, Leah. I always knew you would get to this point. You spent so much time in denial, denying that you had this power at all. Then you recognized that you did have it. And then you tried to just not use it. And you had no way of coping with the times when it did happen and when it did affect people's lives. I knew you would get to the point where you would accept that you have these powers and also accept that it is your responsibility to mitigate the effects of those powers. It all can be done, my dear. It all can be done. I can help you.
I will do anything.
It will not be easy, but we can do it.
It never is easy.
Excuse me while I flip to the exact page in the player's handbook that I'm looking for. But Senna goes on to explain that you all need to be ritualistic about it, be ceremonial about it. She references experiences that the two of you had before, where you did these, almost like you did these ceremonies together. She taught you certain aspects of what you do in your own personal rituals. There's certain kinds of incense that you burn, there's certain kinds of motions, there's certain phrases, there's certain things you got to do. And also the other thing is you got to be in solitude. You got to find the right set and setting to be able to reach that spiritual place that you need to be in. Okay. All we must do is find the right place, have enough time, and be left alone. I will teach you what you need to know.
Then let's do it.
Tonight?
Immediately.
Very well.
Whenever we can.
Very well. At that, she gets up and she goes over and talks to Leovan, because she knows that Leovan has been through here several times. And Leovan perks up, seems like he wasn't asleep the whole time. He was kind of listening, and he kind of knows what's going on. And Leovan murmurs some words back to her, kind of points in this general direction. He gets up, looks like he's about to help you guys do whatever it is that you're going to do. And he leads the two of you out the door, and actually out in this opposite direction from where the workshop just got built. Leads you into the woods. You you walk past Ellie and Eigner, who probably at this point have scooted closer on the log to each other, and they're not totally like all up on each other necessarily, but they're sitting in very close proximity. Eigner's cheeks are flushed. Either he's feeling some feelings or he's had a little more rum. It's kind of hard to tell. Exactly what's going on.
Well, in his case, it's obviously both.
It's obviously both, for sure. But yeah, you can read into that situation as much or as little as you would like to. But
He's gonna read into it. Don't worry. He thinks they're adorable.
Adorable. But in any case, they hardly seem to notice you as as you three elvish people walk past them, and you go in the opposite direction out into the little grove. Well, the whole thing's grove. It's a little copse, let's say copse of trees. And you start to realize that this is where Eigner has built his shrine to Yrana, essentially. It's just a small, simple clearing. It's a short walk into the woods where the trees really help to not only block the line of sight, so you have that kind of seclusion, but it also helps to block the sound. So you have this nice, private, little, small clearing. In all the other stumps and everything have been cleared out, but there is this one tree stump directly in the center of the clearing that Eigner has carved himself into this crude shape. And it's kind of the same shape that you've seen on his holy symbol that he carries around, which is also hand carved. And it's just this whole motif of like a circular spiral of spider legs that are like curling up on each other in this kind of tessellated kind of fashion. So the stump is just like covered in this kind of carving. And at that, Senna sits down cross-legged with you and bids Leovan a thank you and a goodbye. Leovan, if you would please, give us some space. And Leovan does a courteous little bow, saying not much of anything other than giving you both just creepy looks, because that's his default, is giving people creepy looks. And Leovan slinks off like a rat into the woods.
I should probably mention that when Leah saw Leovan and registered that she recognized him, because she also recognized him, she did nod to him, all seriously and stuff, because they have that shared history.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So she would acknowledge him.
Oh,
least.
for sure. And Leovan would return that. He's just not one for talking very much, unless he's
not sure Leah wants to talk to him.
Yeah, very true. He's a weirdo, for sure. For sure. You never know what's going on with that Leovan character. Yeah. So, and then you guys do your ritual. It has a lot of elements, like I said before, of what Leah does for her own personal rituals, but then there's a lot of elements thrown in that are just classic Senna. You know, she's got her whole pouch that has her special kind of sage in there. You know, little candles, some like oils and that kind of stuff, and she just goes all out with it. Maybe even throws in a tarot reading as well.
Oh, I know what Leah's card is.
I'm going to let everyone choose their own card because I was thinking about choosing cards for everyone, and I was like, I don't know tarot well enough to be able to do that.
Well, Leah's card is also a sword.
Ooh,
It's in there, so.
very interesting.
Ooh.
So this ritual can take as little or as long as you want, but yeah, the main benefit is that you'll be able to swap out one of your spells for the third level abjuration, remove curse. Um, Casting time, one action. Range is touch. You gotta touch the person to be able to do this. It's got a verbal component as well as a somatic component. You gotta do something with your hands or arms or something. And it just instantly happens.
Leah's gonna actually be useful for
She's
one.
actually going to be useful. She'll be able to remove curses.
Oh,
As far as whatever else that you're trying to get out of this ritualistic experience, it's kind of up to you. You know, it could be a mechanical thing, or it could just be more of like a narrative, like shift in mindset, or you know. But the main thing is the swapping of the spell. It can now happen.
yeah. I got rid of one of the fear spells because she would hate that anyway.
Yeah. One of those spells that she has, but she will never use.
Exactly. um, and I think that she will feel like she is receiving it as a gift. Like it will feel like a blessing, like a gift that she is receiving, and that'll be the first time that anything like that has happened or felt that way to her. So probably by the end of it, tears will just be pouring down her face.
Intense. Emotional.
Always, always emotional.
Hell yeah. Always emotions. I love it. So while that is happening, we'll go back to Ellie and Eigner around the fire, and Eigner by this point has just kind of powered through like so much of this bottle, and he keeps passing it over to you, you know, as like far as like, get this shit away from me. But he can't actually tell if you're taking any sips of it, like whatsoever. So he's got no idea like where he stands drunk wise, like compared to Ellie. But you know, his tongue starts to get a little looser, and he starts to get a little flirty even, you know? It's like really weird for Eigner to be acting all flirty. And then at some point he says like, my butt on this log. Oh, and then he stands up to try and stretch out a little bit. And as soon as he stands up, he does that thing, you know, when you've had too much to drink and then you try and stand up. He doesn't fall all the way over, but he seriously like dips and just realizes like, oh, I'm fucked up. Oh. Oh. All right. Okay, I don't care if that old elf lady is over there anymore. I need to go to bed. Whew. All right.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. And then Ellie just gets a very entertaining show of Eigner blind, drunk, blind, drunk, you know, blind and drunk, or like so drunk that he's blind. Like, you know what I'm trying to say. He just wobbles and weaves his way, but eventually finds his way to his front door and opens it. and goes over to his bed.
I think she probably would have like watched for like a moment and then tried to catch up to him and like help him like steady himself a bit and like open the door for him and help him into bed.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
He says, "Thank you, thank you, yep, thank you, yep." Yeah, like every step of the way, he's thanking Ellie for like every little thing that she's doing, and then yeah, and then he does the very drunk version of like taking the clothes off instead of the skivvies, of course, keeping the skivvies on, and then he just kind of like falls into bed, just.
hmm. But like Ellie's just like okay, and like tries to sort of push him into his own side. Like
Athletics
move
check.
a little bit over there. I can do it. I'm trained in athletics. I shift him.
Okay.
I mean, not that much. She'd probably happily like kind of crawl under one arm and just be like, hee hee. I tricked my way into having his arm around me. This is his own fault.
Yeah. He is when you go to like try and move him or whatever, you find that he is just his body's just like made of like jello essentially, and you can just like kind of roll him any which way. And yeah, I wouldn't put it past Ellie to just push him a little bit and move the arm up and then just
I feel like
just
whenever
do one of those.
anyone, when they come back in, they'll just see Ellie like with this big grin, like
Mhm.
wrapped up in the cover and then under his arms, like.
Yeah. So yeah, that happens for sure. And I was really hoping to get to some more Hillowfax related stuff, but it seems like Drew is having technical issues and is not able to do the thing, to do anything.
It's true.
Did anyone check
Hillowfax
anyone check the chat? Is he just having issues or?
he's dealing with internet problems.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, in that case, we will forge on. It may end up that we'll like cut it off a few minutes early. We'll we'll just kind of keep going and see how it rolls. So I've got this like whole like last scene kind of thing in mind that I'd like to kick off, but I'd like to open the floor for any other things that y'all want to talk about or handle. And we're still in this time frame of it being getting late into the night.
Yeah, I think Rue spends the rest of his night just helping Alan with the catering and then the cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
So.
For sure. And Alan is more than happy to talk Rue's ear off about all the stuff. Especially he goes into exquisite detail of every bottle that he has in his private stock, because he's really hoping that once Rue grows up, he'll take over and be the bartender, and Alan can just, like retire to like restaurant management and, like just be able like be the paper pusher, but actually have Rue be the front of house kind of bartender man. That's the plan that Alan's got in mind right now. That's what he's thinking about.
I think this is a lovely idea. However, I think that there are only so many people around this area that can afford that. And I don't know that many of them are employed.
That's why, Rue, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. What we really need is a road out here. The problem is that this is too far removed. This is too far out in the wilderness. If someone wants to come get a drink at my new pub that's going to be out here, then there needs to be a road, at least somewhat closer. I know Eigner will never agree to have a road come directly out to Bronzewood Grove, but I mean, the best we can do is, perhaps on the, just on the other side of the woods over on the west side. Yeah, you know where I'm talking about? It's next to that creek. Anyway, The best place for the pub will be here, just down the hill, and the road. And he goes on to tell you about his new business plan.
Of course, I have a complete topographical understanding of this territory. But I believe that you are miscalculating by about 9 degrees. If you move your bar to here, and it's like maybe a 4-foot shift, you will draw in the proper application of visibility from this angle, and then the road will coexist right here. I think the biggest issue we're going to run into is zoning laws. I don't know who owns what territory of this wood, but the trail guard should be able to help you with that. It is their duty, after all, to secure these roads and make sure they are protected from brigands and thieves.
Alan cackles with this kind of happiness, and he. It should be noted that both Rue and him are in Eigner's house, where Ellie and Eigner are trying to sleep right over there on the opposite side of the room. And Alan just cackles with glee and says, "Rue, this is why I keep you around. You've got so many good ideas. Rue, you're brilliant. Brilliant."
I really need to know why Rue knows about zoning laws.
Because his mom is so smart. That's why.
There, no, so I actually have an answer to that, kind of. There is, like, bits of knowledge from, like, the whole dwarven structure, and dwarves are extremely meticulous. Like, you better believe that every inch of their territory is zoned, and, like, there's all sorts of, just, I don't know. They're meticulous. So, he's just got all this like latent knowledge from his previous construction that occasionally pops in here and there. It's why he doesn't know what a caterpillar is, but he knows what mandibles are.
Mm-hmm.
And things that are a bit more vague, for instance, a caterpillar is a specific term for a very specific creature, where mandibles are something that multiple insects have. The more wider reaching a term is, the more likely he is to know it. So, and then, of course, knowing what the trail guard does, he would have picked up just in the conversations throughout the last few nights, or this day, or whatever.
Rue's a smart boy.
Yeah.
Smart boy. All right. Well, so it seems. Oh,
Yeah.
what's up?
Oh yeah.
You go first.
Okay. Two things. Well, and maybe we'll want to play this out as a separate scene. But like the first thing that Leah is going to do once she has come off her ritual is go straight to the ISCB guy and see if it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she probably won't even say anything to him. She'll just like run up, put her hand on him, and be like, "I'm gonna try this thing now."
I'm gonna bitch slap the curse right out of you. Bam.
Well, that's what Ellie would do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. That's what Ellie would do for sure.
Do it. Do it.
So.
Slap him. I know, because Leah's thing is like she's gonna grab him by both shoulders and look at him, and then see if it works.
Mm-hmm. So Leah's coming up, and the ISCB agent recognizes Trey. Yeah. So Trey, I forgot to use his name. Trey, it looks like he's been trying to get a bit of sleep, and he's just been mumbling like, "Please, please let me go. Please, please." Like, you know, trying to keep up the whole thing of what he's got to do, but he's also trying to get some sleep. He's not doing a very good job of it. But he recognizes that you're approaching, and his bloodshot eyes open wide, and with a ragged, hoarse voice, he just says, "You have to let me go. This is inhuman what you're doing to me. I can't believe that anyone would." And then you come up to him, plant both hands on his shoulders, shake him a little bit. The magic, you can feel it well up in your chest, and then it just spreads like your heart would spread the blood throughout your body. The magical energy spreads throughout your body, down your arms, into your hands, and you feel it make contact. And he stops mid-sentence and closes his eyes for a while and opens them. And you see some kind of change in his expression. It's not this kind of panicked, kind of rat in a cage expression that he's had the entire time. He looks in this kind of state of confusion and bliss simultaneously. And he just says, "What did you do?"
Did it work?
Please, I don't have to say that anymore. You, what did you? He seems flabbergasted.
Did
How,
it work?
how am I not dead right now?
I think I removed it.
Huh.
I think I removed it.
The ultimate test. His eyes go wide. Edoras is a dirty snake. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Is Edoras a dirty snake? Because I thought we were supposed to like him. Leah's asking this.
Oh, no, I mean I mean that was just a test because the spell, it also would kill you if you said anything bad about the leadership of the organization. Yeah.
Is Edoras still under the same influence? He is, isn't he? Or he could be.
I can't remember. What did we
I
establish
think,
with
I
that?
think he was,
He
or
was.
that he, on occasion, he was, and would
Oh,
be.
okay. Okay. I and he just kind of has this flippant response where he says, "I don't know. Maybe you'll have to go try the spell on him and find out for yourself. This is incredible.
Yes,
I'm free."
I'm going to do that. You might be in danger.
Oh, a sudden look of realization comes across his face. Yeah, they might be able to tell that I'm not under the effect of that other spell anymore. Okay, let me think. Let me think. And then, hold on, let me check the time really quick. We got a little bit longer. So he goes digging around in his pack, and he takes out. Yeah, Leah probably wouldn't have seen something like this before, but I think it was maybe at the beginning of episode 10 when Eigner got abducted by Rache Dunham, that other ISCB agent. He pulled out this like leather flap kind of thing that was blank, and then this magical writing just wrote. It's essentially his badge, but it's a cool magical badge where you're just like, "Yo, FBI," like you can flash it, but then it's cooler and magical and says ISCB. So he's got one of those, and he says, "We need to figure out how to destroy this, or deactivate it, or something. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's any protections on it, if it'll blow up if we try and do that, but yeah, we need to figure out a way to get rid of this, and we can't just go throw it in the woods. I mean, because then they'll just go to where it is in the woods. You know what I'm trying to say? They can track me through this thing."
Oh. Well then, we need the help of Ellie and Hillowfax. Most likely.
Okay. Yeah.
We know better.
Yeah, let's go ask them. Yeah.
And then Leah will burst into the cabin, see what Ellie's doing, and be like,
Well, I
That.
was wondering if so still like in the bed under his arm, while he's like passed out. I'd like to try and like wriggle out that box.
And so,
have a
how
look
do
at
we
it in
keep
bed.
all of the booze cold? That is a really valid question. In this
Tony in the
situation.
background.
There is plenty of territory around here, but we could dig a much deeper room, or maybe there is a way to use magic for that sort of a thing. I don't
Yeah,
know. I heard a tale of a bar once.
yes, I've read some very interesting theories about this new technology called refrigeration.
I want to know what Ellie's doing.
All right, I was just gonna say that to put a pin on that. Alan's still talking to Rue. So Ellie she's trying to wriggle the box out.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can
And
do
start
that.
taking a look at it.
Start taking a look
Can
at
I
it.
cast? Can I cast detect magic?
You can cast detect magic.
What do I say?
You cast detect magic. So first of all, you're taking in the other surroundings as well. There's a collection of magical stuff in here. There's like the random magic items that maybe other people have on them. Obviously, Rue is glowing with magicalness in certain varieties. There's also the pile of Eigner stuff, which has his magical stuff on it. So you have in the room other reference points for what is magical. And then you look at the box that's right in front of you, and you see kind of like it's like a negative. It's like a negative space that the box is showing up as. And I would like you to roll an Arcana check. Arcana check.
Oh, I've not even got my flipping arch yet. Uh,
Well, it's definitely going to be 5 because that's a proficiency modifier plus your intelligence
Okay.
modifier.
10, so 24.
Nice, nice. Okay, so you automatically recognize what's going on is that this kind of like negative, like void, like visual cue is something that you've seen before when there are certain things with detect magic where it won't be able to penetrate past a certain barrier, so it's like this many feet of wood will block your sight, like this, like 1 foot of stone or like 6 inches of lead or whatever. So yeah, you can tell it's that kind of thing going on. Like whatever material that this is made of is blocking your ability to detect whether there's magic inside the cube. But what's really curious about that is that like the toughest one is like lead, where you need like 6 inches of lead. But this thing isn't even like 6 inches across, or like on a side. It's not even 6 inches. Sorry, I can't even talk. 6 inches on a side. There's whatever facing is on the cube. The material is rather thin, but there's something about it. Maybe it's so dense, it's so heavy. There's some other strange property about it where it has that same kind of magical blocking technology to it, but in a much, much thinner material.
Interesting. Can I then just be like investigating it for like, I don't know, seams or like. I don't expect there to be anything on it like that, but that's when we have first go to is like initial inspection. Is there like any latches, any seams on it, hinges, whatever? Like that's what I'd be doing.
Investigation check.
That is 21.
Okay, alright. So, with enough time turning this over in your hands like it's a little Rubik's Cube or something like that, you start to test like the different, like I described that it was just this innumerable like number of circles that are like surrounding this cube. and you start to test like the individual ridges of the circles. And at some point, after a long time of staring at this thing, you turn it over on this other side, and your finger just gently brushes this one little ridge of a circle, and it moves the tiniest bit. And it slides from its position. So if this is like a curve of a circle and this is the curve of another circle next to it, it slides the tiniest bit to become flush with that other curve of the circle. And there's the faintest, quietest click as that happens.
Okay. I mean, hopefully it's not a bomb. So, like,
Wouldn't you like to know?
like, blow me an Eigner.
Explosions!
I think maybe that's a good point for Leah to, like, burst in.
Okay. So Leah bursts in.
So I burst in, and now not only is Ellie happily cuddled up with an Eigner arm over her, but she also has a little box in her hand, and she's looking at it very excitedly.
Pretty much, yeah.
Huh. I have so many questions.
Just look over and like, what's up? As if there's nothing weird going on.
Oh, don't worry. We can create a side room for any business you might want to run, although we'll have to get further permits.
What? That looks interesting, but you're probably. Maybe we can talk about this tomorrow. I need your help with some ISCB stuff.
Oh, I don't think they have anything to do with zoning laws.
Rue.
I
I
hear
don't think it's about your bar, Rue.
Oh yes.
Alan's like, maybe we should take this conversation elsewhere.
So then I'll gesture outside and so that Trey can come in and be like, I removed the GIS.
Good work.
But he says that there's a way that the ISCB can track him, and so I was hoping that you and maybe Hillowfax, if we must, could help figure out how to destroy the thing that he has that is what's getting him tracked.
Can I like hold my hand out for the thing, what it is?
Sure.
Yeah, a little leather.
Yeah. Not leaving the bed. Just kind of like shifting Eigner around like, a little bit.
Stick your hand up.
And then I've still got Detect Magic on,
Mm-hmm.
surely. So, is there anything like on the thing?
There is, absolutely. There you can tell, turning it over and kind of getting all angles of this little thing. The text is showing up to like show the designation and organization that Trey is. It's like all the information on there. You can tell that it's illusion magic that's making the text appear, and there's essentially one other. I really can't think of what is the most appropriate school for it, but there's one other school of magic that is just dripping all over this thing. I'm going to say
tracking magic?
divination.
Yeah.
Divination magic.
Divination would be like
That's it.
interesting.
That's it.
Okay. I'll just sort of like mumble that off at like as if like while I'm like looking at it. Can I cast Dispel Magic on it? Well, does that do anything?
You can. What spell level would you like to cast it at?
I'll do it at my highest, which is 4.
Okay. All right. Let me take 1 second to look at the spell list here. You will need to make a skill check for that one. It's a spell that is higher than fourth level.
What do I've never done this before. I
Oh,
don't know what
okay.
I
So
roll and add
essentially,
and stuff.
yeah. So you roll the d20 and you add your intelligence modifier because that's your spell casting ability modifier.
Right, okay. Then it is a 19 I rolled.
All right, you beat the DC, which was 15, because it was 10 plus the spell level. And yeah, you it's like for each spell effect that's on it, so you're not targeting like the illusionary kind of way to make the text appear, you're targeting the divination effect that's on it. And you just pew immediately tell the magic just drips away from the object.
I just pass it back as if it was like nothing, just like done. But then I'll add stuff offhand, going back to my box, but offhand to them. Like, I mean, they might not be able to track that using the magic they had on the item, but you do realize that scrying spells, they only need to know your face.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to know sort of what he looks like and stuff, and they'll be able to do it. It's like really nonchalant, like, yeah, that's just magic works like that. I'll probably be fine though. We could work out a way around it. There's anti-scry stuff. Let me think about it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, can we talk about something? Not related, but something else that I want to talk to you about.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, this is probably the happiest that anyone has ever seen or felt Leah ever.
People are feeling happy. It's about time that something went wrong. It's about time that something went wrong. So, I need to do my whole closing scene that I set up. So the way that's going to happen is that everyone has a nice, long, restful rest, especially Eigner, who is sleeping like a log and snoring so loudly at this point in the evening. Poor Ellie. But she eventually gets to sleep, gets a full 8. By the way, she is totally recovered from her exhaustion that she had building Rue, because it's been more than enough time for her to be able to recover from that. Eigner, despite being such a drunk mess the night before, gets up at his regular time, meaning early, has a really awkward time realizing that Ellie's in the bed with him, and then crawls over Ellie, trying not to touch Ellie too much as he tries to get out of the bed, but eventually does it, puts some clothes on, gets the coffee going, waits for some more folks to wake up, and stretching and drinking his coffee after the party members are all awake and kind of milling around doing the morning thing with him. He makes this loud announcement that, God's damn it, there's no bacon in the house. The provisions they were able to get from the cornerstone, the bacon was just pretty much all spoiled, and there was no recovering it. And Eigner needs some goddamn bacon. So he has decided he's going to go hunting, and he invites the party members if they want to come with him.
I mean, Ellie's game, always.
Do we catch bacon with our hands?
Something like that, Rue. I mean, I'll teach you everything you need to know if you want to come along with me.
Oh, an opportunity for education, of course.
All right. Leah, Hillowfax, are you game?
Hmm.
Rue will nod Hillowfax's head, since he seems very unresponsive.
I think. No, I mean Leah's feeling pretty good right now. I should mention, when she always goes elsewhere to sleep, like just one of the abandoned igloos or something. And by sleep I mean to do her hours long ritual. When she comes back in, both of her arms are bandaged
Mm,
and she has tear tracks on her face, but she looks at peace.
damn.
So yeah, she'll think, yes, whatever you're doing, I'll join you.
All right. This'll be fun. I mean, it's been a while since we've just done something fun together. You know, it's always been some kind of crisis or some kind of thing to people to save or whatever. Yeah, Eigner looks very optimistic, and he purposely leaves his armor off because he knows that he's going to need to be a little bit more stealthy if he's trying to track some prey while he's hunting or whatever. But he definitely takes Talon's blade with him, and he sets off into the woods for a nice early morning hunt. As you go along, he describes the situation. There's a pack of wild boars that always frequent this one area of the grove that's kind of in between these two canyons, you know. They're big old mean ass boars is the way that Egner describes them. Big old mean ass boars is what they are. And just getting one of those could mean a lot of bacon, is what that could mean. Egner gets really excited as he's talking about it, and you guys go down to the ravine that is just covered in trees as well. I can't even talk anymore. I'm tired, guys.
We making
But
bacon. We making bacon.
We're making bacon. So you go along and you get to the point where everyone needs to be quiet and hushed and you're sneaky. Egner even does the thing where he casts the spell on everybody to make you extra sneaky.
We making bacon.
We making bacon. Rue is just chanting it, whispering, chanting it. And you finally get to the point where Egner stops everyone. His finely tuned senses of smell, hearing, can tell that there is a boar pretty close. And those of you who can see, look just over this log that you're hiding behind, and you see that, yes, there's a big old mean ass boar out there. And Egner looks around and goes, "Shh. I'm going to flush it out. Watch this." And he takes out of his pouch. There's a crackling. Okay, no, we're all good. We're all good. He takes out of his pouch Yorana's holy symbol that he carries around with him, and he grips it in his hand, and the shadowy power flows out of his hand, filling the holy symbol, and you recognize that he's using his channeled divinity power called Invoke Duplicity, which is where he summons a clone of himself. So it looks like he's trying to do this to scare the boar into running over into your direction. As he does that, I want everyone to make a perception check.
Nat 20.
Oh, wow. Who? Anyone else? Anyone
I
else?
got an 18.
Okay. Ellie?
I got 16.
Oh, okay.
16.
Okay. All right. So that's actually all of you rolled well enough to be able to see simultaneously that his clone is not normal. Normally, it's a perfect clone of him, the way he looks. But this is not how it turned out this time. It looks shadowy with sickly green glowing eyes. Out of nowhere, it starts rushing toward the boar, but also toward your direction. It phases through the boar, going faster and faster, causes the boar to flee and crash off into the brush. And in the blink of an eye, you just see this thing just rush onto your position, and the shadowy form slams into Eigner's body and knocks him onto his back. And he immediately starts going into a full-blown seizure. His body is just shaking. And he's got a little, like foamy kind of spittle coming out of his mouth. His eyes are screwed shut.
Remove curse.
You feel that similar kind of welling of magic in your chest. It spreads throughout your body, through your hands. It's like that like clear, defibrillator, clear. You do that to Eigner, and he still is having a full-on seizure. The magic seems to have not done anything.
I will punch him for his own good.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that.
Punch
No! Rue, no!
Do I have advantage because he's prone?
I am not letting you punch Eigner.
It will dispel the curse. It will remove
No.
the magic. There is magic
We
that is
don't-
hurting him. I remove magic.
Rue,
Rue?
can you maybe just
No.
put your hand out instead? Without the punching?
I cannot without the punching. Maybe
Rue.
I can. Let me
No.
try.
I'm gonna.
going to just grab him and see if that can dispel magic.
You cast Dispel Magic, and it has a similar ineffectual result like Leah experienced trying to use Remove Curse. So I'm going to speed things along because I noticed that we're a bit past the hour. And so I'm going to kind of speed it along in this way and say that you guys realize that you gotta just take him back to Bronzewood Grove, try and get him in his bed, try and just like do anything you can to make him comfortable, and try and figure out what's going on. As you pick him up and travel with his body, the seizuring keeps going on, but then over time it kind of quiets down and he gets a little more calm. His body just becomes stiff, like it's like carrying around a board, but you can tell he's still breathing, he's still alive, but he is just completely unresponsive to the world, and he's got this weird like rigor mortis thing going on. You get him in his bed, and everyone is standing around talking in hushed tones about what do we do. Let's get a hot towel on his head. You feel his hands, and you're feeling his forehead, you're feeling all these different parts of his skin. Some of them are just burning up, and some parts like his hands are just freezing cold. You have no idea what's going on with Eigner at the moment. And then after some time of standing around and trying to think of what to do to help Eigner out, his eyes open. His eyes open, and they're the same sickly green glowing color that you saw on his clone as he summoned it. His voice, his mouth opens, and a voice speaks out in a chorus. It sounds like 1,000 voices speaking at the same time. And in these booming words, the voice says, "I am Joro, weaver of shadows, she who whispers in darkness, matron of matrons, the queen of spiders, Thezaleth the corrupter." The chorus of voices fade, and only one voice continues in a feminine timbre. "But you, mortals, can call me Yorana." Eigner's expression twists into a dangerous, hungry look, regarding you all as a lion would regard its prey. And that is going to be where we're going to end this session. I know we went a little bit past the time, but I just really wanted to get that in there. Very important to have that ending. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. If you're a new viewer, we really appreciate that you tuned in. And if you want to watch more of this crazy old story that we're cooking up week after week, come join us again next Tuesday afternoon, 12 to 3 Pacific time. And yeah, we'll catch you later. Thank you for watching. Bye.